it's a big punch in the gut for Nebraska because they put all their eggs in one basket on Dylan Raiola, and now there's limited options left for the 2024 class. But I hope that people didn't beat him. Nebraska fans didn't beat him up on social media. I don't know. I don't usually pay attention to social media myself.
You're a better man for it.
Yeah. But you know what? He took the best situation possible, and it's kind of hard to pass up. 2-time defending national champions, and comparing that to obviously USC and Nebraska were the other two in that race, and in Nebraska's point is that they're a 4-win football team, with a new coaching staff again, and Dylan had pointed out the winning culture that Kirby Smart has instilled there down in Athens, and that's probably the best choice he could have made, in my opinion. But obviously, I think everybody knows that his parents wanted him to go to Nebraska, but they're not going to force him to do that. They're not going to pressure him anyway, and it is what it is. And if you really think about it rationally, that in this day and age of college football, with the transfer portal out there, who knows how long anybody's going to stay at a single school.
Yep.
So, and I'll add on to that we got a chance to talk to Matt Rule last Wednesday when he spoke to the Lincoln Chamber of Commerce. And that was one thing he emphasized with us. He came over and met with us after his presentation, and there was only 5 or 6 of us from the media there, and he went over that. He's like and it was kind of specifically with the Dylan Raiola in mind question that we're not going to give up on anybody, no matter if we've been on them and they commit somewhere else. We're always going to leave that door open, and we're not going to break any of the rules, but we're still going to stay in contact with them. So, it's a long way until December signing day right now as well. So you never know what happens in these next 6 months. And then on, even if things stay the same, you're talking next few years down the road. But, it is a punch in the gut. Nebraska has to scramble and go after some other targets now. And that's just the way college football recruiting is.
Well, what you just said about possibly running into Dylan Raiola down the road, or another situation where a quarterback's going to be a transfer, that is the state of college football right there. You just outlined it right there, that we no longer live in a world where you recruit a quarterback, you sign him, or any player. You sign the player and you're expecting them to play for 3 or 4 years and never go anywhere else. And then they're going to go off to the NFL. Yep. And that will continue to happen with some, but you can't expect that. And look, Jeff Sims is going to be the starting quarterback this year.
Yep.
Transfer. Casey Thompson was the starting quarterback last year. Transfer. And I tell you, the more I look at players and look at, like I just released a Big Ten quarterbacks rankings, it seemed like every quarterback practically was a transfer.
That's the way it sounds like. Across the board, about everywhere anymore.
Northwestern's quarterback, most likely their starting quarterback. They still have a quarterback battle, but Ben Bryant, he started at Cincinnati. He went to Eastern Michigan. He came back to Cincinnati, and now he's gone to Northwestern.
Yeah, it's just mind-boggling that this can happen. Like we off the top, 2 old guys like us, that this is unprecedented. Because you were used to having your guys be there for 4 years or 5 years. There was no question about it. So, yeah.
Yeah, right now in the Big Ten, if you look at the Western Division, let's say, Nebraska's got a transfer quarterback, Jeff Sims. Wisconsin's got a transfer quarterback in Tanner Mordecai. Minnesota's got an original Minnesota player, but he's just coming off a freshman season. Iowa's got a transfer from Michigan, Cade McNamara. Northwestern, I just outlined their situation. They've got a transfer quarterback. Who am I missing? Purdue has the former Texas quarterback, Hudson Card. And Illinois, they've got Luke Altmaier, who transferred in from Ole Miss. So out of the 7 starting quarterbacks in the Big Ten Western Division, 6 of them transfers.
Crazy. I mean, hey, it's the transfer portal and NIL have totally changed college football from what anybody has ever been used to. At least from our age group and older. So yeah, it's mind-boggling, really. To me, it is.
The reason I pull
because you can do that. That's the thing. I mean, to the team bringing guys in, it's like, hey, it's I'm going to bring in a guy that's better. At least we hope he's better. But hey, you got to do everything you can to win ball games. Bottom line.
The reason I pulled up this list is this is On3's quarterback rankings for 2024. And of course, Dylan Raiola's at the top. I was just curious to see at what point is there a quarterback who's not committed? So we go down the ranks and we see, okay, well, we've got Elijah Brown, who's a top 9-10 quarterback in the country, but you see it doesn't look like he's in the mix at Nebraska.
There's only 3 guys really in the mix for Nebraska, but go ahead, go down your list.
Jakari Williams, he's the 10th rated quarterback according to On3. He's looking at Georgia Tech and Pitt. Then we go down the list. We got Tyler Cherry out of Indiana, looking at Indiana and Illinois. We got Samaj Jones out of Philadelphia, looking at Penn State and West Virginia. We've got Trevor Jackson looking at FAU and who is that? Coastal Carolina. And Michael Van Buren, a quarterback out of Maryland, who's looking at Maryland, but it looks like it's going to be Oregon. Demarcus Davis, Oregon State, Arizona. Ethan Grunkemeyer, Penn State, Maryland. Isaac Wilson's looking at BYU and Utah. Keep going down the ranks. Cut in here if you see who Nebraska's looking at. We've got 4 more quarterbacks there in Carson Susu and my Aliaki Smith.
I think that'd be
butchered that. My
Maliki
Liaki Smith, Miles O'Neill, Jaden Bradford. I've got to see who Smith is going to sign with to see if I'm going to have to pronounce his name too many times.
I think he passed over one. Dante Reno would be the number 2 guy really on the list for Nebraska right now.
Where am I going?
He's a 4-star.
Dante Reno.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I must have missed him.
Fixdale, Maine. He's 349 nationally and 20th in the quarterback.
Oh, okay. I did miss him.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'm looking at 20 being Colin Hurley.
It might have changed in the last day, but that's what mine was. But
yeah, so
no, we can just cut to the chase.
Well, yeah, let's cut to the chase. Who's in line for Nebraska?
Yeah, scramble mode is. I'll just put it this way: Nebraska pretty much has 4 options. Kamari McClellan would probably be up there on the top of their list. From Pinson, Alabama. He's a 3-star ranked guy, and he's going to be here on an unofficial visit to Lincoln here in early June. So he's kind of probably the most likely guy that the Huskers could move on right now. But they've been involved with Dante Reno for a long time. Like I said earlier, He's a dude that Marcus Satterfield, the offensive coordinator, he recruited him to South Carolina last year, and he was a commit there, and so he's been long mentioned as the next guy up that the Huskers would be going after if they didn't get Donovan or Raiola. And then, probably the quarterback that they would have gotten was Daniel Kalen out of Bellevue West here in Omaha. But the situation with the whole Raiola, the Dylan Raiola thing, was too much for him to wait for, and he committed to Missouri. But you never know if the Huskers come in hard on him again that he could possibly flip. And I mean, I know him personally. I know he's always wanted to play for Nebraska, and his head coach there at Bellevue West, Michael Huffman, is one of the biggest Nebraska supporters of a head coach in high school football that you can ever imagine. So I'm sure there's a lot of talk going on there with Daniel and his decision for Missouri right now. I mean, just starting after yesterday. But then the fourth option is you don't take a guy in 2024. And you put all your eggs in another basket for the 2025 class. So that's pretty much where Nebraska is at right now in that quarterback recruiting conversation for the 2024 class.
Dion here says, Mark, let me know when a transfer quarterback wins a national championship.
That's a good point.
Wins a national championship. Okay. Well, technically, Stetson Bennett was a transfer.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of really
went
good
to junior college, but if we're going to keep it on the Power 5 or the FBS level,
yeah,
Cam Newton, he started at Florida and went to Auburn. There's a national championship quarterback.
There you go. I think that's probably it right there. I mean, the latest.
Yeah, the rest of these guys did not transfer, did they?
Oh no, Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow. Boom.
Ohio State, LSU.
Yep.
But they're going to start rolling in here because there's not going to be too many left.
And I mean, you had some too. I mean, a Jalen Hurts that won a national championship at one school and then transferred to another one, but didn't win one. But
yes,
so that's like an asterisk on there.
Yeah, he was not the starting quarterback who won the national championship, but he played on a national championship team. Baker Mayfield took a team to the playoffs.
Well, he did. Was the starter and was replaced by Tua in that national.
Yeah. If you want to look at it that way. Yes, absolutely. You're right. Yes. He was the starting quarterback until he got pulled in the second half. Yes. Of the national championship game. Bingo. Jalen Hurts, Cam Newton.
Joe Burrow.
Anybody else? I
who would have played in Nebraska if Nebraska wasn't stupid at the time and turned him down?
Was Scott Frost a transfer?
Yeah, it was Scott Frost's first year, and Adrian Martinez was his guy, and he didn't want to bring Joe Burrow in to muck up his confidence, or Adrian Martinez's.
No, it was Scott Frost a transfer. Matthew's saying Frost as a quarterback.
Well, that's a long time ago. Yeah, he was. I mean, he was Stanford and then won a national title in Nebraska. But